Welcome to Voices from the Abyss. Every week, we descend into another story where the water is dark, the silence is heavy, and not everything waiting beneath the surface has stayed there. So turn the lights down, get on your flippers, and if you enjoy stories that make you afraid to get into the bathtub, don't forget to follow. And if there's a fear, a legend, or a deep-sea nightmare you'd like to hear brought to life, leave it in the comments. You never know. Your idea might be the next one to rise from the depths. Now, take a deep breath. We're going under. For as long as anyone can remember, the gods have watched from above. Generations have lived beneath their wrath, watching loved ones disappear into the heavens, lured by beautiful things sent down from beyond the boundary. Some are never seen again. Others return with wounds and stories of what waits on the other side. Tonight's story is about a world that has spent generations trying to understand why its gods are angry, and the horrifying possibility that they aren't angry at all. This is The Gods Above. My grandfather believed the gods were angry. His grandfather believed it too. As far back as anyone remembers, we have lived beneath their wrath. But according to the oldest stories, it wasn't always like this. There was a time when heaven was quiet. The gods still came, of course. They have always been there, watching from somewhere beyond the boundary. But they came rarely. A family might go their entire lives without seeing one of their signs. Children could wander far from home without their parents calling after them. The old could rest wherever they pleased. There were places the gods simply did not go. Well, that's what the stories say, at least. I don't know if I believe them, because in my lifetime, nowhere is safe. There is nowhere they cannot find us. My mother taught me the signs when I was very young. The shadows were the easiest. When something enormous passes across heaven, you hide. You don't wait to see what it is. You don't stare. You find cover and stay there until the light returns. Then there are the sounds. Low vibrations from somewhere above, sometimes distant, sometimes so close that you can feel them inside your body. The elders say that those are the voices of the gods. And then there are the pulses. Those frighten me the most. You can't hear them, but you do feel them. It's like a strange pressure passing through everything, through the rocks, through the earth, and through your flesh, searching. When I was a child, the elders told us the gods could not see into the valleys. The further we were away from heaven, the safer we were. And we believed them. I don't think the elders even believe that anymore. The pulses always come before someone disappears. Everyone knows what to do when a gift descends from heaven. You leave that alone. That's the first lesson every child learns. Nothing beautiful comes from above. Sometimes the gifts glow. Sometimes they shimmer. Sometimes they're bright enough to see from a great distance, twisting and dancing as they descend. They move like living things, small things, wounded things, things that shouldn't be there. And that's how the gods tempt us. The elders call the gifts false stars. I've always thought that name was beautiful. Maybe that's why they work. You know what they are. You've heard the stories. You've seen families grieving for the taken. And still, when a false star dances in front of you, something inside you wants to follow. I watched it happen to my cousin. His name was Pell. We were young, old enough to know better, but young enough to believe that terrible things only happened to other people. The memory is burned into me. The false star was silver. It flashed whenever it turned, and Pell saw it first. He told me to look. I told him we should leave. He laughed. And then it moved. Pell followed. I begged him to stop. He told me he was only going to get closer, just to see it, just for a moment. And then he screamed. There was something hidden inside the star. A fang. It pierced through his mouth. Pell twisted and fought, but the more he struggled, the deeper the fang went. And then he began rising. I followed beneath him for as long as I could. I screamed his name, and he screamed mine. Higher and higher and higher, until the light swallowed him. Pell never came back. My family told me the gods had chosen him. That's what we say when someone is taken. It sounds better that way. Chosen. As though there is some purpose behind it. Some divine judgment we are incapable of understanding. The priests say that every disappearance is payment for the sins of our ancestors. I used to believe that. I needed to, because the alternative was worse. Not everyone who goes into heaven stays there. Some return. We call them the fallen. My uncle was one. I was there the day he came back. He simply fell from heaven. One moment, there was nothing. The next, His body came crashing down among us. Everyone scattered. My grandmother screamed when she recognized him. There was a wound through his mouth, and he was barely alive. For several days after, he refused to speak. And then the story started. He said that the moment he crossed the boundary, everything changed. The world he knew simply ceased to exist. There was only blinding light, and his body betrayed him almost immediately. He could no longer control his movements. His chest heaved, his limbs thrashed uselessly beneath him. Every instinct screamed that he was dying, though he couldn't understand why. There was nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. And then he saw them. The gods. He said they were larger than anything he could have imagined. Their hands wrapped around him completely. Their faces were enormous. Their eyes moved independently, examining him from every angle. He said the gods made sounds to one another. Deep, booming noises he couldn't understand. One of them held him up toward another. They were pleased. He always emphasized that part. The fact that they were pleased. There were others with him. Some alive, some already dead. One was a woman he recognized from another settlement. She was still moving when the god placed her on an altar. My uncle begged me not to ask what happened next. So naturally, when I was older, I did. And he told me. The god took something sharp. It opened her from throat to belly. Then it reached inside. My uncle said she was still moving when it began removing pieces of her. The gods made these booming sounds again. And then, my uncle said, they consumed her. He never recovered. Some people thought heaven had driven him mad. Others said the gods had shown him things mortal minds were never meant to see. My grandfather wouldn't allow him near us after that. He would say that the gods marked him, that they may come looking for him. They never did. My uncle died years later, but before he died, he told me something I've never forgotten. He grabbed me and pulled me close. They're not angry. I didn't understand. Who? His eyes moved toward heaven. Them. I told him not to say such things. Everyone knew the gods were angry. Everyone knew we were being punished. But he shook his head. I saw their faces. His grip tightened. They're not angry. Things have only gotten worse since then. The gods come more often now. There are fewer safe places. They have learned to reach the deepest parts of our world. Some say they have senses capable of seeing us through darkness. Others say the gods have always been able to see us and merely pretended they couldn't. I don't know which possibility frightens me more. Entire families have disappeared. Settlements that existed for generations are empty now. And still, the false stars descend. Red ones, silver ones, golden ones. Some mimic recognizable shapes and movements. Others are unlike anything that has ever been seen in our world. The gods are learning. That is what frightens me. They're getting better at tempting us, better at finding us, better at taking us. Every generation thinks it can't get any worse. But every generation has been wrong. Today the pulses returned. I felt the first one this morning. Everyone froze. No one spoke. Another one passed through us. Then another. Searching. People began moving toward shelter. Parents gathered their children. I stayed where I was. And I don't know why. Maybe I'm tired. Maybe after a lifetime spent fearing heaven, part of me simply wanted to see it. Then there was a shadow. It moved across the world above us. Enormous and slow, everything became still. I thought of my grandfather. I thought of Pell. And I thought of my uncle. And I wondered what our oldest ancestors would think if they could see us now. Would they be ashamed? Would they look upon their descendants and wonder what we had done to deserve this? What offense could possibly be great enough that the gods would punish our children for crimes committed generations before their birth? Perhaps there was no forgiveness left for us. Perhaps this was simply what existence had become. Live, hide, raise another generation, and wait for heaven to notice you. Then I saw a light. It was small and golden, descending slowly. A false star. I should have left. I knew that. Every instinct told me to run. But it was beautiful. It moved strangely. Not like the others I'd seen. It fluttered and stopped and fluttered again, like something injured. I thought about Pell. Just to see it. That's what he had said. Just to see. I moved closer, and the star twitched. I stopped. It twitched again. Something deeper than reason told me to take it. I knew better. Gods, forgive me, I knew better. But I couldn't look away. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. and I moved closer. Pain exploded through my mouth. I tried to get it away, but I couldn't. The hidden fang had already buried itself inside me. No. No, no, no. I twisted. I pulled. I tried to run. But then I began to rise. I screamed. Someone below screamed my name, and the world beneath me fell away. I fought harder, but it only made the pain worse. Higher and higher, the light grew brighter. The boundary approached. And for the first time in my life, I understood that every story was true. Pell had seen this. My uncle had seen this. Every Taken had looked down upon their world for the final time and watched it disappear beneath them. I thought of my ancestors. Thousands of generations living beneath angry gods. Thousands of generations praying for some forgotten sin. Whatever we had done, whatever offense had condemned us to this living hell, we had never been forgiven. And we never would be. The boundary broke. There was light. There was nothing. My body convulsed, and towering above me, I saw God. Holy shit, dude. That's a nice fucking bass. Get a picture. Hold on. Get your thumb in its mouth. Something enormous gripped my jaw. I couldn't move. The god lifted me. Another raised a black object toward us. Hold him out a little. Makes him look bigger. Like this? Yeah, perfect. The god holding me bared its teeth. A tiny flash of light. How's it look? There was a pause. Oh yeah, that's your new Tinder profile picture. Fuck off. I'm serious. Chicks love a man who provides. You keeping him? Nah, he's a good one. I'll put him back. For a moment, I hung above the edge of heaven. Then the enormous hand released me. I fell. Air became water. I struck the world hard and sank. I could breathe. I could breathe. I fled. I didn't stop until heaven disappeared behind me, and I found the others hiding where I'd left them. They stared at the wound in my mouth, at the blood, at me. Someone whispered, "You came back." I wanted to tell them everything. About the gods, about heaven, about the altar, about the Taken, about Pell, about my uncle. I wanted to tell them that our ancestors had been wrong. We had committed no ancient sin. There was no curse, no judgment, no divine punishment. My uncle had seen the truth all those years ago. The gods weren't angry. They had never been angry. They were smiling. Thank you for listening to Voices from the Abyss. If tonight's story stayed with you, click the follow button to make sure you never miss what surfaces next. Until next time, sleep well, and remember, not every abyss is underwater. Good night.